Let the floodgates open. Welcome, everybody. It's 12:59, but we had quite a few people in the waiting room, so I figured we could go ahead and open this bad boy up and let everybody in. Just so you're aware, we will be recording this, so if you want to tune in later or catch back, you're welcome to. However, everyone who is in attendance today and throughout will be up for the CEUs that this course is accredited for. So excited for that and for what John's going to go over today. I'm going to give it about one more minute and then I will give you your intro, John. Okay. Let everybody hop in that would like to be here today with us.
Awesome.
Also, John and I have been on for about 20 minutes now. We are so excited for this. Ready to go. All right, one-on-one on my end. We don't want to take up too much time. I am Amy, marketing manager here at Single Ops, and we've got John Snow, which you can see has a laundry list of accreditations underneath his name here. He is a certified arborist and also the owner of Tree Checkup. He is here today to go over maybe adding PHC program to your list of services currently and getting you some reoccurring revenue. Here's our current agenda. I do want to let you know, as I spoke about earlier, this is recorded. I will be sending this out afterwards for all of you, as well as a checklist that John has put together for us with an awesome list of resources, as well as some discounts that will be for all of you guys. We've got some resources coming your way. We also have contact information so you can get in touch with any of us with some questions. Speaking of, if you've got questions, drop them in the chat as we go along. John and I are going to be doing a Q&A at the end to make sure that any questions you have, we get them answered. If not here, we will certainly follow up. But today is all about getting you some actionable insights into PHC so that you can walk away learning something and then also having a list of things that you can also do. So learn and do. That's what we're here to do today. I won't take up any more of your time. Take it away, Mr. Snow.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Amy. Appreciate Single Ops having me here today and all the effort putting this whole program together. I see we already have a question in the chat. Is there anything specific we need to do to ensure we receive CEU credits?
Thank you, Jacqueline. That's all on me. Okay, so when you registered, you went ahead and put your first name, last name, and your accreditations. If I don't have that, I'll reach out. But after today, I will make sure to log who was in attendance, and then I will go ahead and submit this to the ISA on your behalf. So this is easy peasy. You show up, you learn, we will take care of the rest, and you'll be notified when you get your credits.
Awesome. Well, let's get started here. So what makes me qualified to talk with you today? Well, I have a master's degree in business administration. I'm an ISA board certified master arborist. Probably a lot of you attending today have seen me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. Do the arborist word of the day. And that's one of my passions, is giving back to our industry. After 30 years of doing this, I figured, hey, it's time to hopefully lead the next generation of arborists and get them going on the right path. I've grown several successful plant healthcare programs for companies over the years. I was ranked in the top 10 out of 220 arborist sales reps for fertilization 5 months running. Interesting side note on that is it was also the highest returns in that division. Another interesting weird thing that happened to me was that I actually had 100% client renewals that year on fertilization and plant health care. I think that's pretty important. You know, it's all about that recurring revenue and renewing these clients. That's why we're here talking about plant health care. It's not just a one-shot, hey, remove the tree and you're done. This is about recurring revenue. Another interesting thing that I did was the company where I first started out growing a plant healthcare division When I left, they ended up having over $3 million in recurring revenue between general tree work and plant healthcare services over 3 years. So that was pretty fantastic. So I know you're all here looking for CEUs and you're in the right place. Crafting your plant health care program for profitable growth has been approved for 1.25 ISA CEUs. We're going to make this thing about an hour and 15 minutes. Depends on you. It may end up being an hour if we don't have a whole lot of questions and stuff. So be sure to plug your questions into the chat there, or the Q&A area, I'm sorry. So why does this really matter? This is about learning how to implement plant healthcare services into your business. We're going to have some fun and earn some CEUs in the process. You're also here in the right place if you want a sense of community. Arborists, we're all in this together. We need to really develop that sense of community, so go ahead in the chat, plug in where you're located, why you signed up, and what's something that you hope to learn. Go ahead and plug that into the chat, because I think that's really important stuff. We need to do a better job of building a community of arborists that can network and grow our businesses and our careers. Hey, there's Brody. I know Brody from LinkedIn. So how do y'all feel about getting started here today? Go ahead and put an emoji in the chat, thumbs up, hand clap, whatever. I'm excited to be here. I hope you are too. So let's talk about the landscape of tree care businesses. We all know competition is the key. And in our businesses, we need to be competitive, but branching out is important. And that's what we're talking about today. Companies need to niche down. You need to have that niche, but you also need to build enough diversity within your company and develop these multiple revenue streams to help take off that seasonal edge. Nothing's worse than going into the winter months and everything just dries up. Well, hey, I'm here to tell you, we can change that for you, but you got to take some steps. Remember, summer's right around the corner. And if you're thinking, well, hey, I'm too busy for this plant healthcare stuff right now, I'll put that off till the fall. Well, I'm telling you, right now is the time to get started planting these plant healthcare seeds. You don't need to be doing the services now, but you can be selling these services for the fall and preparing to get that additional revenue coming into your company. If we focus all of our efforts on just that one thing of tree removals or just deep root fertilization, insect disease control, pruning, we can get ourselves pigeonholed. And that's why I do believe tree companies really need to diversify and develop a broad range of services. Now, that doesn't mean you got to offer everything under the sun. You need to stay within your wheelhouse, and that's important. Understanding what your key knowledge base is and focusing on those areas so that you can continue to grow your business. Another key part of understanding the landscape is risk reduction. As business owners, we're concerned about having a stable source of revenue. We don't like these seasonal ups and downs. We're going to have that. We can't avoid it. But we want to try to have a lot more stability. We want to optimize the resources that we're using, our employees, not that they're resources, they're employees, they're people just like me and you, but we want to be able to utilize the tools that we have, people that we have, and optimize all of that. And we're always looking for these growth opportunities. That's why I say here, diversification is crucial to the life of your business. One of the easiest ways I think tree care companies can diversify is using plant healthcare services. This is a natural extension of the training and the services that we can offer our clients. It's plain and simple. I really love this quote. Most growth happens as a result of many small steps. The key is to keep taking them. Well, today we're here to take that first small step. So we're thinking, what is plant healthcare? How many people already understand what plant healthcare is? Throw an emoji up in the chat. Raise your hand. For those that don't know, plant healthcare is that comprehensive, it's holistic program to help manage a plant's health, structure, and appearance in the landscape. Right from the ISA, we get the definition of plant healthcare. They say sound practices for managing pest populations at a tolerable level while maintaining plant health. That doesn't mean you're killing every bug. It means that we're maintaining it, managing it at a tolerable level while maintaining plant health. Good way of thinking about it is like health insurance for humans. Plant healthcare program acts as an insurance for trees and shrubs, helping them to manage and alleviate potential landscape issues effectively. So the key aspects of plant healthcare include minimizing plant stress and minimizing pest and disease activity. Like I said, it's not about eradicating or controlling every single problem a tree or shrub might have. It's about minimizing that plant stress, minimizing pest or disease activity at a tolerable level. Used to be years ago, is go out and you spray this stuff, most of which has been banned, to kill every insect out there. And over time, we've learned that's just not an effective way of conducting business. We want to minimize plant stress. We want to minimize pest and disease activity. It's important to understand most tree health issues are a combination of factors. It's not just one thing most of the time. It's a combination of things. A drought, insect outbreak, the tree is stressed from soil compaction or one other thing. This is important to begin addressing all these different factors to really have a successful plant health care program. And we're going to go into that a little bit more today. Plant health care is proactive. We want to try to get ahead of the problem, not be chasing it. I think that's really, really important. And plant health care can be cost effective. Instead of going out there blanket spraying pesticides all over the place, we're using targeted insecticide or fungicide or fertilization products to effectively treat and manage these problems in the landscape. That's going to reduce the cost to clients. At the same token, it makes the services that we offer that much more valuable, and we can charge a higher price. So some of the benefits of having a plant healthcare program, you can read the slides here: complete tree care, client convenience, profitability. Again, it's a diversified revenue stream. We're increasing that client retention. If we do it right, we're enhancing our business's reputation. And that's a key thing. We're bringing in more financial stability and an opportunity for that premium pricing. So, strategies to start a plant health care program. One of the best practices that I instruct clients is go back and look at your last 3 to 5 years of client data. There's gold in that database. And there's really two basic types of clients, I think, for tree companies. And we can argue this point, but I really think that it boils down to two types. Clients that just call to remove a tree and those that want their trees pruned. Who do you think is most likely to purchase or want plant health care services? I think it's pretty obvious. People that are pruning their trees are going to be more likely. So it's literally digging into that database that you have of past clients and saying, okay, I'm not worried about these 50 clients that we just did a tree removal. I'm going to focus my efforts on these 150 clients that we pruned their tree, and they're more likely to purchase plant healthcare services, deep root fertilization, insect and disease control, soil management services to maintain that tree. You've already been there once. Why wouldn't they want to use you again? Another key here, start small and simple. It's the best way to go. You don't have to offer every plant health care service under the sun. It's just that simple. Starting with basics like deep root fertilization or offering some air spading, root invigoration, root excavation services, that's perfect. It's ideal for smaller to mid-sized tree care companies to invest in that. It's not a huge investment. It's something you can take people that you already have, train them, and get that rolling. Build it as you go. As your plant healthcare division grows, you just begin slowly adding on more and more services as the company continues to grow. But you want to add the services that your clients are looking for, not just adding something on because it sounds good. You got to have the problem out there before you add the service and investing in all that. We don't want to have a smorgasbord. They say that knowledge is power, and it's true. But the one key is not only learning the material, but learning how to teach others. Saw, I think, Adam in there in the Q&A. He signed up to learn about growing plant healthcare, wanting to learn how to build confidence selling plant healthcare. This is the answer right here, Adam. Knowledge is power. The key is not learning how to learn, not just learning that material, but learning how to teach others. If you're an arborist rep, a business owner, you're out doing the day-to-day sales, you need to be able to identify these problems. You can't just pitch it, oh, hey, we offer this great service, Mrs. Smith. No, you need to be able to identify the problems and teach the client and educate that, because I believe very firmly educating your clients is the key to building that relationship. I have clients that I worked for 6, 7 years ago that still call me up looking for advice. It's crazy. So the next part is hire dedicated personnel. You know, that practical experience in identifying plant diseases, that pest management, nutrient management is crucial for effective performance in this position. This isn't necessarily stuff that you all learn out of a book. It's about getting out there in the field, seeing what's going on, addressing the problems, and then following up and seeing the results. You know, the plant healthcare technicians really do need that practical experience. And that can be taught, and people grow over time. But there's also these technical skills. They need to have technical skills. That includes understanding how to use the relevant tools and equipment, understanding proper techniques on deeper fertilization, spraying insects or fungicides, doing soil drenches, how to safely operate an air spade, and all of those kind of things. There's a lot into it. It's not just a simple thing. And that's part of the reason why you should start small and grow, because you can't learn everything overnight. Again, like I talked about, that communication and customer service skills. PHC technicians often interact with the clients. You got to have good communication skills. If you can't talk to the client and explain why you're out there doing what you're doing as a technician, it's not going to bode well. They need to be able to explain what they're doing and the importance of plant healthcare clearly to the clients. And I'll tell you what, a good plant healthcare technician could very well be your next sales arborist in a few years. They make great sales reps down the road as your company continues to grow. So when you're ready to expand your PHC program beyond just fertilization or air spading, that's when you begin looking at these other opportunities as incremental growth. Some of these things might include plant growth regulators, these insecticide or disease control treatments. The important part is that it really does require having software that's capable of tracking your product usage to meet the state licensing requirements. Several of these things, you know, like Florida, I'm here in Florida, New York, California, they have some pretty intensive regulations regarding using restricted use pesticides. You need to understand those, follow the label. I'm going to repeat that. Always follow the label. Doesn't matter whether you're just fertilizing or you're using a restricted use pesticide. Follow the label. I hope everybody got that. Follow the label. Here's the reason why. That label is the law. So when we talk about these state requirements, you need to be looking at your local and state requirements. We're not going to go into that here. Every state varies. Like I said, here in Florida, plant healthcare is pretty highly regulated. Other states have their own licensing requirements. You need to check into that before you get into the whole insecticide, fungicide aspect of things. But you also need to be looking at it just even for your basic fertilization. Here in Florida, there's laws regarding fertilization. Seems kind of crazy. I think it's a little overboard, but the laws are there to protect consumers, to protect the environment. And most importantly, you want to be protecting your business. Last thing you want to do is get sued over a plant healthcare issue. So that's a little bit about the importance of that industry-specific software. Single Ops is a great platform for that. It can easily handle a lot of the recurring revenue issues that come with plant healthcare. It also helps with timing your treatments and those client follow-ups. So I really am happy with Single Ops as a product. I think that it's awesome. Whoops, went too quick there. Talk a little bit about that quick batch renewals. That's one of the processes within Single Ops, helps you manage multiple client renewals at once. You could quick batch renew it and just email everybody out that proposal. That's not what I recommend doing though. I recommend you print those proposals out. You go out one by one, visit your client properties, visit your client, Or you can actually use that process to set up and automate things where you could actually schedule appointments with your clients, I believe. You could talk to single ops for help with that. And feel free to jump in, Amy, if I'm missing anything on that.
So far, so good, John. He's absolutely correct. I don't want to take too much of your time with single ops, although as marketing manager, I'm happy to shout from the rooftops about us. But yes, however you do that process, we can absolutely help you within single ops, and we do automate that as well if you'd like to automate some of your customer communications. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you, Amy. I mean, effective customer communications is really key, especially in this day and age where anybody can go on their phone and look up XYZ tree problem, and they're going to get 30,000 Google results, all of which are different. You want to be able to take charge, build that reputation, communicate with your clients, and direct them to services that are going to help protect and promote their trees. Keeps them engaged and satisfied. At the end of the day, guys, we're all here interested in what that bottom line is. Let me tell you a story about production, pricing, and job costing. You're probably wondering how I price just basic services like deep root fertilization. And there's a lot of different ways that you can price it. You can price it on a per inch, you could per tree, this or that. But the way that I like to do it is based on the square footage. And it all basically boils down to basic math and how much product is coming out of the hose at the end of the day. You need to be able to tie it back in. You need a job cost. We want to know, hey, did we make money? Did we lose money? Or what are our margins? I base it on square footage. When I was doing it, I was selling deep root fertilization, just basic deep root fertilization at $180 per 1,000 square feet. Look at the tree, kind of break it up into areas, 10 by 10 areas or 10 by 20 areas. Do the math. This is how many square feet I'm going to be treating. Plug it in. Now, I know, and you should know, how long it takes you to properly deep root fertilize 1,000 square feet. Answer should be 1 hour. Pretty simple math. So you kind of know what your number is. And once you have that, once you've refined those numbers, you plug that into the system and you get it going. It's all pretty simple, basic stuff. It's also important to invest in your marketing and branding. If you begin offering plant health care services, you're going to have to invest some time and money into marketing and branding those services. It's important to get the word out. In this day and age, the best way is the web, plain and simple. Your website can make a difference. You know, just yesterday, literally, I got one of these little flyers in the mail. How many people are still using these flyers? Raise your hand. I'm not a big fan of the flyers. Guess where that's going, guys? Right there in the circular file. Sorry, I'm an arborist. I don't need arbor services. You know, the web, that's a whole different animal. One of the things I would offer or recommend is, you know, digital marketing. One of the resources that I have in the that you'll be getting is a little thing on, you know, a website review. Check it out. One of the best ways of marketing yourself is through the web, your Google profile, your website, all of that stuff. And that's what my friend Graham Knight does for tree care companies. you need to be putting up helpful educational information on the website, little blog posts, photos, images, things that are going to interest people. You know, people want to understand the problem. They may not necessarily need to know or want to know all the details, but they want to have a good basic understanding. And that's one of the beautiful things of the web today is it offers people that ability. But they also want to trust that your company is doing the right thing. And the best way to do that is to take charge, posting the stuff on your social media. If you're going to use the flyers, that's fine. But again, you want to be bringing out these key points that attract people. We want to focus on benefits, plain and simple. So let's go ahead and jump into part 3 here of increasing revenue with plant healthcare. That's the part I'm really excited about. I'm going to share with you some basic setups and give you some specific ideas for selling plant healthcare works. So we're going to go into a few different areas with this. We're going to talk about deep root fertilization. We're going to talk about soil management, air spading, and then finally, we'll get into a little bit on pesticides, insect and disease control programs. Is everybody down for that? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready for this. All right, I see a party emoji and a ton of thumbs up. Awesome. So getting started with tree fertilization maintenance plans, okay? Right here's a quick little checklist. This is going to be kind of in that resource guide that you're going to get at the end here. So you go ahead and take some notes. Anything that stands out in your mind, make sure you got a pad and paper, but also you'll get some of these resources at the very end here. I think starting with that right equipment is the key. You don't need to invest thousands of dollars, buy a truck, buy a whole spray rig and all this great stuff. Hey, folks, we all can't be a Davy or a Bartlett or one of these other big national corporations. God bless them for what they do because they're helping bring some of this stuff out into the industry. The key for you as a small business is to get into the niche and develop your customer base and focus on that, not just general package that some of these other companies may be offering. And you can do that by starting with the right equipment. I think most tree companies have a pickup truck and just a standard 200 or 300 gallon skid mount sprayer is a great starting place. Main thing there is it does not need to have what we call mechanical agitation, which are typically paddles in there, but it does need to have at least jet agitation so that you are getting that constant circulation of the product mixed in the tank. So we're talking about deep root fertilization here, guys. Again, finding that right employee to do the work. They need to be good with the clients. They need to follow directions. They need to be able to work independently. Key word here, guys, independently. Most fertilization that's done out there, it's a solo job. And you as a business owner or you as an arborist sales rep need to have confidence that your technician can go out there, work by themselves, get the job done in a timely fashion, and do it right. Tell you a quick story. I had a great client, probably, I forget how much it was. It was over $4,000 a year in fertilization. Went back, we did this for 2-3 years at this guy's place, fertilizing these oak trees. It was great. I went there, knocked on his door. Hey, what's going on? I saw you didn't renew the fertilization. And the client, tells me flat out, yeah, I was home when your guy came and I saw what he did. And he's just, poking a few holes in the ground it didn't look like he was really putting anything into the ground. And then he just rolled everything up and left. He was in and out in a flash. I'm not going to pay you $4,000 for that. Like, whoa, wait a second. I totally get it. Totally get it. If I was you, I wouldn't pay for that. I wouldn't renew that service either. So you need to have that technician that's going to be thorough, going to do the right job, because guess what? The clients will watch it. Nothing worse than having an egg on your face. And trust me, I had egg on my face. I don't need anybody's help to make me look foolish. The other important part here is choosing the right products. Liquid products are probably the easiest products to get started with. And this is why I said use that skid mount sprayer with that jet agitation. You start really amping up your costs when you get into mechanical agitation or other things. These liquid products, they go into solution very, very easily, works really, really well. Then if you want to get into adding mycorrhizal products, and as arborists, we should all understand what mycorrhizae do. We need to be able to explain that to our clients. If you don't know what mycorrhizae is, put your hand up in the chat and we'll get into that as a question. But you can incorporate mycorrhizal products like Mitagrow or some other biologicals that can be suspended in that solution. So that jet agitation is going to keep it rolling through that tank. And as you're injecting under the tree drip line, it's going to be going right into the soil and inoculating the soil. You need to develop a marketing and sales approach. I like to use soil testing and basically be able to prove to clients, hey, Mrs. Smith, you can see right here, the tree needs this. Another thing is your flowering trees. What I like to recommend for clients when they go out and they see their flowering trees is, hey, let's fertilize that tree twice a year. And then construction damaged trees. That's another area that we can be marketing. And then we need to be turning this into recurring revenue. So let's talk a little bit more about flowering trees. I was jumping ahead a little bit there. Let's go. Do you like your flowering trees? Hey, in front of my house, I have a magnolia. And there's a few flowers every year, but they're up at the top of the tree. It's not flowering. But I understand why that is, and I'm not worried about it. Now, my wife, she's like, why isn't this tree flowering? And so I have to explain it to her. The key is flowering requires a lot of energy and nutrients that the tree has to put out there. Like this little red bud here in the photo. It takes a lot of energy to produce all those flowers and everything and look really nice. So what I like to do when I'm selling deep root fertilization to flowering trees is recommend to the client that spring and fall fertilization. The key here is really to focus on boosting that flower production and developing a strong, healthy root system. So I see Chris has a question here. How you respond to a customer that says the University of Tennessee Ag Extension doesn't recommend fertilizing mature trees. Well, did the University of Tennessee Ag Extension come out and do a soil test? That would be my first question. Amy, we'll go into that one a little bit more if you want, a little bit down the road, because I think that's a good question. Let's talk about construction damage. Trees damaged by construction happen all the time. As arborists, we're seeing this almost every single day. Fertilization programs for trees that are damaged by construction are fairly easy to sell. And that's going to be recurring revenue on a 3 or 5 year basis with annual inspections. Here's the key to that. You know, you need to tell the client it took the tree, the construction damaged the tree, and it's going to take 3 to 5 years. That's when we typically see the tree's response to construction damage. So let's go ahead and start this fertilization program now. And every year we'll come back, we'll check on the tree, and we'll monitor the progress to make sure that we're getting the tree through the whole process. If we need to make some adjustments to the program down the road, we can do that. You know, this isn't cookie cutter, just every year we're coming out fertilizing the tree. I really believe you need to go out and do those inspections, do that follow-up, meet with the client so that you can sit there and evaluate things. It's just like going to the doctor, you know, every year you should be going to the doctor, getting a health checkup and tweaking things, adjusting things as you go. That's part of dealing with construction damage because we don't necessarily know what parts of the root system, what parts of the tree have been damaged unless we can visually see that. Like I said, explain to clients, it takes time for trees to respond to these stressors. That means it's going to take an equal amount of time to respond to the treatments. Kind of common sense, not entirely true, but more or less. So good annual general maintenance program is, in my view, is essential to sustaining trees' overall health. And I think it's important to really tell that client that they need to get that professional grade soil test through a soil testing lab. That means you're testing for NPK, your nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. You're testing for the cation exchange capacity, your CEC. You're also looking at that organic matter, OM. That way you can better understand exactly what the tree needs. Now, I'm sure a lot of you out there probably don't know how to read soil test results. You don't necessarily know where to go for soil testing, but that is all out there. You can learn how to do these things. You should learn how to do these things as an arborist business owner or an arborist sales rep, so you can help your clients do a better job. And that soil test shouldn't just be a free thing, in my view. You need to be charging for that. That's a service. It's an add-on service. And it's something that you can show the client that really kind of helps build your reputation as a professional. Let's talk a little bit about building that recurring revenue. Like I say here, you know, monitoring the trees, like a doctor's checkup, and single ops can really help with that process. Years ago, back in the 90s, I don't know if anybody remembers Lotus 123, pretty much the original spreadsheet software out there. Yes, I'm dating myself here. I see an emoji there of somebody crying. Yes, Lotus 123 would make you cry. That I had to learn that because in this company that I was working for back in the 90s, it was pretty antiquated, and I really need to understand how much products we were using. So I knew how much to order for next year. Number one, goes back to that job costing. If you track it, you can understand how much product you're going to be using at Mrs. Smith's, at that homeowners association, on that campus. You want to know, am I using 50 gallons? Am I using 500 gallons? The only way you know that is by tracking it. And I used to go through and create all these spreadsheets and all this kind of stuff. Single ops here can really help you with a lot of that stuff, streamline that whole process. tie it into your job costing so that next year, guess what? You're not making the same mistake. So let's talk about starting your soil management program. And I apologize if I'm getting a little hoarse here. I'm pretty excited, but we're going to keep rolling with this. So starting your soil management program, this is another great area for small tree companies. Starting with that right equipment, get yourself an air spade or an air knife. You can rent an air compressor and you just add that into the job. But make sure that you're purchasing, if you're renting that air compressor, make sure that you get the insurance. Just word from the wise, get the insurance. You don't want an accident and have to pay for a new air compressor. Again, find that right employee that can do the job, that you can train, take the time, train the person on the proper safety protocols involved with airspace. Last thing you need is somebody getting an eye put out by a piece of sand or a small rock or something that got blown up. You also want to be choosing your right products. I think for soil management, granular products are great. Yes, you can use liquid products, but I think this is a great application for granular products where they can actually be mixed in and tilled in to that soil, adding in that compost. I talked about organic matter a little while ago. A lot of our urban soils tend to be very, very low in organic matter. We want to be looking for about 5% or greater organic matter in that soil profile. Now, that doesn't mean we want to have 25% organic matter. That's probably too much. But I would say 5, maybe 8% organic matter is a good range to be kind of focusing in. And you can incorporate this. You can use the air spade to literally till in some compost. Where do you get the compost? Go to your big box store. Go to Site One's Landscape Supply. I think it's Black Cow. Works pretty doggone good. Mycorrhizae, you can incorporate that into the mix as well, or after the fact, incorporating that in through by drenching the root area and watering that in. It's important when you're air spading or using air knife that you do make sure that the root system stays moist. You don't want that thing to dry out. When you're blasting that air and exposing those roots and everything, you know, it can cause things to dry out. I see a question in there about biochar as an additive. You could incorporate biochar, but that's just going to be another thing that you have to factor in. You know, I can go kind of both ways with biochar. That's a bigger conversation in my view, because I think there's a lot to biochar and a lot that you need to understand. Keep it simple, guys. Don't go super crazy. I think focus on the basics. Developing that marketing and sales approach, that soil and compaction testing. I use a soil compaction tester. Literally, I'll have the client standing right there, or I'll take a photo as I'm testing it so that I can document and show the client, yes, guess what? This soil, it's in the red. It's compacted. We need to do this. This is why the tree looks like this. You can focus on these root collar excavations and invigoration, again, addressing construction damaged trees. And don't forget to monitor these results. And the recurring revenue from a lot of the soil management, in my view, you may go in that first year, do the root invigoration process with the air spade, and then you're following up subsequently with that deep root fertilization. So again, going a little bit and got ahead of myself again. Root collar excavation. Many trees in the urban environment are planted too deep. Um, David, the answer to the question is actually in the resources. I tell you exactly what soil compaction tester I use. Many of the trees that we encounter in our urban environments are planted too deep. We can do these root collar excavations. This is a great thing that you can be doing during the summer months when it's off season. Like I said, you want to be doing your deep root fertilization, ideally spring and fall. Why don't we want to do that in the summer? Why don't we want to do that maybe every month? Well, that'd be great. We get these trees really growing. The key there is we get the summer. We don't want to be pushing a lot of growth in the summer. Spring, that's when we want to be pushing more growth. In the fall, we want to be promoting root growth and development. Really, we want to be doing that both times of the year. But that root collar excavation is going to be a great way to expose these buttress roots, remove any girdling roots, and maybe find out what's going on the tree. You do that root invigoration process where you're incorporating the granular products and your compost. We know soil compaction is a leading killer of trees, and it can be found on most sites. Folks, you can't sit there and look at it and say, yep, I think the soil's compacted. We should go out and do the root invigoration. Get the tester, test it. Show the client. The proof is in the pudding. That root invigoration process, it's going to amend the soil with compost and added nutrients while reducing that compaction. And again, that soil test results is really important as well. So it's not just a matter of doing the soil compaction, but looking at the soil test results, because then when you're using a lot of the granular products, you begin to adjust things a little bit more precisely than just a general deep root fertilization. Another service that your plant healthcare technician could be doing is exploratory services. Clients may need to really understand, hey, are there really roots growing under my sidewalk or by the house foundation? Just had a client call up the other day looking for specifically that service. You can go out and air spade and identify where these roots are. You can do this root pruning. That's another great little tool that you could be doing during kind of the off season. Root pruning, like I said here, that can be another recurring service that you could be doing every, say, 3 to 5 years. You don't want to go out there and do it every year. But I know like golf courses with the golf cart paths, and they have trees nearby, they may want that root pruning. And you go in there and air spade that and cut those roots properly rather than just going out there with a stump grinder or a trencher. Oh my gosh. Don't use a trencher for root pruning. I think as arborists, we should all know that. But again, this could be a recurring service for your business. Let's talk a little bit about insect and disease control programs, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. I'm getting close here. First of all, you want to determine what pests or diseases are going to be significant problems in your area. Apple scab, emerald ash borers, spotted lanternfly. When I got started, like I said, the first company I was working for, we focused primarily on townhome and homeowners associations. That was our niche market that we were focused on. They had a lot of crab apples, and very quickly on, I figured out, hey, we can go out and do these apple scab sprays. And it worked out to be very, very effective for the company and just really mushroomed our whole plant healthcare division. Again, starting with small equipment. A lot of times a simple backpack sprayer or a small spray unit, 20 gallons, 50-gallon spray unit, may be all you really need, particularly if you're dealing with residential clients. If you're dealing with what I was, which is more of a commercial client, HOAs, townhome associations where they have many, many trees, you might want to use that 200 or 300-gallon spray truck, clean it out properly, and then add in your fungicides or your insecticides. Again, finding the right employee that can do the work and work safely. Choosing the right products, use your suppliers. You got Rainbow Ecosciences and ArborJet, two great companies that can help you figure out a program that's going to work for you. It doesn't mean you have to jump into everything under the sun. Focus on these small niche little areas and build it up over time. But they offer great support in a lot of the products that you're going to need. You can also go to your local landscape supplier, like a Site One Landscape Supply, and purchase a lot of these products as well. Again, developing your marketing sales approach, educating the clients about the benefits of these services. Mrs. Smith, you see how your crabapple looks today? How about next year we get it on a program and get this under control so that that crabapple is looking better? And by the way, Mrs. Smith, I always recommend you go ahead and start with the fertilization program as well. That's one tool, one little tactic that I used for magnolias when I was doing a lot of treatments and stuff like that. Scale insects are a big problem in the Southeast, particularly on southern magnolias. And so you get this false oleander scale on the leaves of the magnolias, and you would need to treat the pest, and it would recur. So I go ahead and get them on a program to treat for the false oleander scale. But then I talk with them. I'm like, hey, kind of one of the consequences here of this insect is a reduction in the flowering. You want your tree to look good, right? Oh, yeah. Well, hey, we need to do a combination program here of both fertilization and insect and disease control. Works really, really well. Give me a thumbs up if you like that idea. Another part of this, guys, is, again, going back and monitoring the results, tracking your product usage and your actual production. You need to learn from your mistakes. When you're first getting started out, I guarantee you're going to make mistakes. I did. Everybody does. It's okay, as long as you're not having a major accident. The key is learn from your mistakes, and you can increase your pricing, make adjustments. Okay, Mrs. Smith, it was this much last year. Well, guess what? This coming year is going to be a little bit more because our costs went up. Well, it's actually about the actual production. Now you have a knowledge base and you track that year after year after year. So you know how long it's going to take to do these kind of things. Again, building this out as annual maintenance programs, and that's the way you need to be talking with your clients. I would have clients with these magnolias. You would get the tree under control after maybe 2 or 3 years. It's looking really good. The insects are under control. The new growth is coming out. It's all clean. There's no insects on that. And we've got it under control. Yes, Mrs. Smith, guess what? This is one of the top problems in the Southeast for magnolias. If we don't keep this under control, it's going to come back, and you'll be calling me in 2 or 3 years and we'll be starting this whole cycle again. Let's go ahead and keep you on the program. Maybe we can downgrade the intensity a little bit. Maybe instead of doing, say, 2 or 3 treatments, maybe just do 1 treatment. Or, hey, let's use a systemic product rather than foliar sprays. That's a great way of going. Starting with these root drenches and using these systemic products. Get that under control, 1 treatment done, and lock them in on an annual program. So again, I got ahead of myself. Amy, you need to jump on me here.
You've got this. You've got this. You're doing great.
Awesome. So, when we talk about that insect control, a lot of these clients, they're reading the news. Oh, spotted lanternfly, emerald ash borer, millions of ash trees dying. We don't want to be alarmists. We want to educate the clients, give them good information, talk with them about these preventative treatments, particularly with these systemic products. I think you need to focus on trying to prevent the problem, not treating the problem after the fact. On the disease control, studies show that most clients don't notice these disease problems until there's at least 5% damage. If you know what the tree species is and what these common disease programs are, and you develop your program around that, you can plan and target that, knowing, oh, I know Mrs. Smith has 5 crab apples, a magnolia, and a redbud. Not everything needs to be treated for apple scab because magnolias and redbuds don't get apple scab, but your crab apples might, unless you have resistant varieties. So it's important to do that. And you can actually use the single ops mapping software to help with some of that stuff. Plant growth regulators, another great area. A lot of opportunity for plant growth regulators. They're going to improve your drought tolerance, improve the water status of the trees, and increase that root growth. Beautiful to tie that in with your deep root fertilization program. Again, recurring revenue. Most of these problems are going to be recurring. You need to educate your clients that these things don't just happen one time. Yes, we may get it under control, but there's a good chance it's going to come back. Now, that doesn't mean we need to be doing 1 spray every month for the rest of your life, but we need to be monitoring. We need to be proactive to get these things under control. And that's where you can really develop that IPM program, that monitoring approach to things as your business continues to grow. So, these services can be really lucrative recurring services that you could be doing every year, but you got to track and monitor the performance. It's just that simple. Get out there, meet with your clients, show them the results. Hey, nothing's better than a show and tell, guys. I guarantee it. So here's some of the key takeaways. Plant healthcare offers a holistic approach to tree care, addressing underlying stress factors. Starting small and educating yourself are crucial for success. And building trust with clients and investing in good marketing is essential for growing your company's plant healthcare program. So, thank you for attending. If you're new to single ops, we're going to have some resources for you. Also, love to have you join in the online arborist community that I put together. That's a great resource for arborist business owners, arborist sales reps to get in, talk with one another, learn from one another. Iron sharpens iron. We all learn from one another. I may not know everything, but hopefully I know a couple of things. That's my Game of Thrones thing there, guys. And we got these beginner PHC resources that Amy's going to get you. But any questions you have in the Q&A, hey, there's Emmett. Hey, Emmett, thanks for joining us today.
I know that Mark had a few that he threw in there that I don't think we touched on just yet, John. And also Chris Hudson's original question about the University of Tennessee, if you want to go back and kind of touch on what you would say to a customer that says that they don't recommend fertilizing mature trees.
Yeah. Again, you know, going back to that, I think that's a really great question because first of all, the Tennessee Ag Extension Office hasn't come out and looked at that individual's trees. I would kind of question, and I would love to see that actual resource where they say, don't fertilize your trees. I think the key there is fertilizing your trees properly. Okay. That's something I had in the slide deck here, but we're running a little short on time, so I didn't want to go into it. You know, a lot of times what I'll recommend is follow the A300 standards for fertilization. Folks, we have standards for a reason. They're out there. Use them. The standards talk about applying between 3 and 6 pounds of nitrogen annually. What I like to do is 1.5 pounds of nitrogen in the spring, 1.5 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 feet, mind you, in the fall. So spring and fall, 1.5 pounds. Now, if you're going to just do one treatment, you may want to go with that 3 pounds in the fall or something like that to really promote that root growth and development. So next.
Moving right along. Let's see. Mark asked, what are some of the best tools for diagnosis? And do you have any forms you can share?
Let's see. Do I have any forms that I can share? I don't have any forms. A lot of the states have, you know, a lot of resources as far as tracking forms and things like that. Single Ops within the app, I think, has a whole plant healthcare thing for tracking a lot of product usage and all of that kind of stuff. I think that's what he may be referring to there. I'm not quite sure.
Mark, if you want to give us a little bit more clarification, John would be happy to touch on that. And then I saw that you asked as well, what are some of his favorite websites? He might have some additional, but we do have a resource coming afterwards that will have a laundry list of some awesome websites that he likes, and also with some extra little tidbits in there, resources and coupon codes for you guys.
In the community, for example, one of the things I have in there is a whole podcast area where I've kind of grouped together a whole bunch of the different podcasts and stuff, like the Discovering Forestry podcast with Corey Laffey. I know Emmett's in here from ArborJet. And then, you know, the Trillion, I think it's Plant a Trillion Trees podcast. So I've got a bunch of resources and stuff like that I posted in the community. What's the best way to integrate degree day science into the program? Boy, that's a really great question, Mark. That's a deep dive. That's probably a little bit beyond the days. That's a great thing on talking about insect and disease control management, maybe for a future webinar.
Ooh, thank you for that. I'll add it to my list. I'll take all of the ideas, please.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you there. Marilyn, thank you. Marty, where do I get a soil compaction tester? Jeremy, download the resource guide. The soil compaction tester is going to be there. The company's probably going to be mad because there's going to be 150 people buying soil compaction testers. So I would jump on it quick because I know that they It's not like they've got a million of them sitting in a warehouse, guys.
We've also got, do you soil test every customer's soil and do you charge to do it?
Absolutely, Brody. You know, that's a great question. Do I soil test every customer's soil? Well, if I'm removing a tree, I'm not going to be testing somebody's soil, obviously. If they, we start out the conversation, we're talking about pruning the tree. And a lot of times what I like to do is kind of out of the corner of my eye, look at a tree and maybe it's a little off color or something like that. And then I may go up and look at it a little closer with the client standing there and they're like, do you see something? Is something wrong? I'm like, well, you see how it's a little off color here? And they're like, oh yeah. Well, that's typically a chlorosis. It's one little thing that I'll do sometimes. I'm not trying to be a jackass about it or lie to people. I don't lie to people. I just tell them this is what I'm seeing. Um, and then I'll recommend that soil test. Hey, it might be a good idea to go ahead and do that soil test, particularly on a tree that has that chlorosis, because that there's going to be some underlying issue that you can do some soil management on and get on a deep root fertilization program. So a lot of times I'll try to kind of target that. But when you start getting into the whole conversation of fertilization and stuff, it's always good to encourage that client. Hey, it's good practice, it's best practice to go ahead and get a soil sample so that we at least have a baseline understanding of where your tree is today. And as far as charging for it, absolutely, I charge for it.
Hillary wanting to hear a little bit more about single ops quick batch renewals. I will not go no one fret, into a single ops demo here. You're welcome to get one at www.singleops.com. But it's just a really resourceful tool for companies who offer the same recurring service to their clients year after year. By batch renewing, you can save yourself some time and some work needed to recreate each job individually for the new year. And then that gives you more time to go out and actually talk to your customers. Instead of sitting at the desk renewing each job, you can go out there and actually get face-to-face with your customers, talk to them, and build those relationships. So less time at the desk, more time in the trees, and doing the stuff that you love. So that's what our batch renewals are about, in a quick elevator pitch for you.
There you go. I see Matthew has another question about multiple services per stop, like fertilization and fungal spraying. Possibly, especially if you're equipped to be able to do that, then yes. Oftentimes, if you just have one dedicated spray tank, you may not be able to flip-flop. That's one of the disadvantages that smaller companies have. But as your company grows, you can have two tanks, one that maybe has the fertilizer, one that has fungicides. One of my favorite nemesis over the years were clients that would come to me that had, I'm not throwing out names per se, but a certain national lawn care company that would basically use the spray of the day for their trees and shrubs. And boy, it's really easy to pick up clients that just get bad service, get no information. Any other questions? Hey, there's my buddy Jordan, Logan. Hey, look at all these people I know.
A friend reunion. Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Do you change your deep root fertilization mixture based on soil test results? How do you set up your route or mixture to adjust for specific needs?
That's, some really great questions. And, we could certainly again, kind of dig into some of that stuff down the road. I think starting out. Go ahead, Amy.
I was going to say, actually, sorry, I forgot to mention, John did put together a survey that I will be sending out along with the recording of this. And then also a list of resources that he's mentioned to everyone in attendance and who registered. So you'll be getting that today. And in the survey, you're also able to ask any additional questions. So if there are questions that we don't get to today, or if you're just thinking about how amazing this entire presentation was as you're going about your day, and you think of additional questions, you're welcome to send us those as well in the survey, or you have our contact information at the end of this. So just want to bring that up and mention that for you guys.
Really appreciate that. Yeah, please, everybody, take the survey. I'd love to hear everybody's feedback, and I'm very interested in that because I think that's going to help, me kind of formulate future webinars and stuff like that.
Yeah, same for Single Ops. We're here not just to be a platform, but a partner for everyone in the community. And the more that we can do this and do it in a way that really is valuable for the audience, we want to. So please let us know. And speaking of that, it is 2:15, so we've officially reached 1.25 CEUs. Once again, I will be the one to submit that to ISA on behalf of all of you. So you will be able, I'll be following up if I have any additional questions, but you should have been able to submit all the necessary information when you registered for the webinar, and I will get that submitted for everyone. So just to mention. And also on behalf of Single Ops and myself, I just want to thank you for your time, John. We spent a lot of time together putting this together over the past couple of weeks, and it's been so awesome learning from you. And you're just really valuable to the entire community, and I appreciate everything you've done here.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate you and Single Ops, and I appreciate the opportunity. I really appreciate everybody that's out there today.
Agreed.
Guys, gals, you are tomorrow's arborists coming up. And, I'm looking forward to seeing our industry just explode, become phenomenal. And the way we're going to do that is by getting better arborists out there, people that really know what they're doing, out there chasing it and are passionate about what they do. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, really do. And we know how busy you are, so having this time is great. I saw someone mention the resource in the chat. I will give you a quick glimpse here of what we've got coming your way that John and I put together, a little beginners PHC resources for you. So as you can see here, we've got a list of some of the right equipment and things that you'll need. We've also put together, I see why this is going so fast, a tree care checklist. You can actually check into this. These are linked to various websites that'll give you resources, some selling tips that he went over today, and then also different selling tips when it comes to insect and disease control specifically. So we've got all of this coming your way momentarily, like I said, with the recording and the slide deck. So just giving you not only knowledge during this, but also tools to walk away with after you're done. So hope everyone enjoyed it, guys.
And go out and get started with your plant healthcare program. You can do it.
Absolutely, you can do it. And Single Ops is happy to help if you'd like us to. Y'all have a good one, guys.
Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.